What's going on, guys? Sam Chimenti here for KRCR Channel 7 News, alongside Alex Shea, a candidate for Reddings City Council. We are meeting the candidate. That's what this series is. We're going to have a lot more videos of these in the future with other candidates. Alex, unfortunately, is not the only one running for City Council. We'll be speaking with others in the future, so stay with us on this YouTube channel to watch more of them. But Alex gets first dibs, so I want to start by saying thank you for sitting down with me. We're at Theory Coffee in downtown Redding on California Street. A personal favorite of yours, I'm going to take it.
Yep, downtown's the place to be. It's where the activity and the activity is at.
It's been growing. It's definitely been growing. This place is a great vibe, and we got lucky that there's nobody in this area for us to sit here and be loud.
Yep.
So, Alex, first question, of course. You know, people are going to watch this and want to know who you are.
Yep.
You are a new face to politics.
Yep.
That's not your background, from what I understand, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
So I guess the first question needs to be just tell us about Alex Shea, who you are, how you got here right now.
Yeah, Alex Shea. I was born and raised in New York. And
far away from here.
Far away, yeah, quite a bit ways away. Long Island, actually. But I ended up meeting a California girl with Redding roots. Mm-hmm. And it was inevitable, as soon as we got married, that we're going to make it out here to be closer to family right off the bat. And we lasted about 7 years in New York before, we pulled the plug and said, if we're going to want to start a family, we want to be closer to family. And also, we just want more space. You just can't raise a family in New York City. That's just too difficult. So came out here, and so my background, for the most part, is finance-related. My first job out of college was working in Washington, D.C. for the Treasury Department during the mortgage crisis. Okay. First gig, basically in the economic downturn, that very first one. And then moved back to New York to work in finance-related fields. Worked at a hedge fund, worked in asset management, investment banking, so very familiar with the inner workings of corporate structure, municipalities, and basically big numbers and how to manage those balance sheets and budgets really well. Moved out here to have more space, be closer to family, raise a family. Worked for a local nonprofit that was very...
What nonprofit?
With Bethel Church.
Oh, gotcha.
And worked very well and quite involved with the car fire relief efforts, actually. And was part of the team that helped distribute $1 million to the car fire victims. And actually what I did was automate the entire system so that there are minimal human touches, and it's just that, because it's about getting the money out to the victims as fast as possible.
Which was a difficult thing.
Oh, for sure.
For a lot of time. A lot of people didn't get their money for a long time.
Exactly. And just having that little measure of, hey, well, here's some food money, here's a little bit of rent money or security deposit money, just to get, or hotel money, because your house burned down. How can we get you somewhere that you could feel, at least just have a roof over your head or put some food on the table, because maybe you don't have a job at the time. So that was a fantastic experience, just giving back to the community and also helping friends and friends that were really struggling at the time. Lost 1,000 homes in the county and the city altogether.
Tell me the exact year in which you and your wife moved out here.
We moved out here in 2015.
2015.
So we'll be hitting 7 years. But the interesting story is that my wife, her dad was born and raised in Redding, and so my two daughters, if you want to think about it, her great great grandparents moved to Redding back in the 50s, or maybe even 40s. I'm not exactly sure yet. And so my wife grew up going to Hat Creek, and we still have a ton of family here in town. Just part of the community, contributing and making a life here. And we were very close to Grandma and Grandpa before they passed away, and they're still here, I guess, over at the Veterans Cemetery. So that's how we got here.
That's terrific.
And we just wanted the space to grow, to have a family.
It's much cheaper to live here than
just a little bit.
New York, just a little bit. Because now I'm curious, and you don't have to touch on this. Sometimes people in politics, they don't dive too much into the family. They don't want to necessarily put them in the spotlight. But your wife, as you're talking about her having these Redding roots, I know people are probably curious. What's her last name?
Yeah, her last name is Frost. You actually just did a segment on Matilda 3 days ago. She actually played Miss Honey as one of the adult leads there. And so it was really fun. I got to see some of your reporting as well.
I appreciate it.
Awesome.
That's nice. Now I feel better about this. I like you, Alex. No. Okay, great. So that's how we got here. 7 years, almost 7 years now in Redding.
Yep, very close.
So your vision, which tied into that, of course, exactly why you felt the need to get into politics when you're, as we touched on, your background is finance.
Yep.
You're a numbers guy, it sounds like.
I sure am.
There's not, there's numbers in politics, but it's a whole different ballgame. It really is. It's a different beast than what I'm sure you're used to.
Yep.
So vision for the county, or for Redding, I should say. It's a city council position.
Yeah.
And then, why you thought politics was for you.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be in politics, but I've always thought this is when I'm 55, I got all my ducks in a row, and then I'll kind of foray into politics because I just always wanted to make an impact. My dual passions are business and government, but I've always put the government on the back burner. There came an opportunity to jump into government here because I experienced a lot of pain points that being a member of the business community I couldn't address, but being a member of the government or policymaking committee I could address, and not just help myself, but more importantly, help those that are all around me experiencing similar pain points. And that pain point really is, how do I just build a life here in Redding? How do I afford a home here? How do I not have to work 2 jobs and be able to afford a mortgage and just have a good low cost of living relative to median income? And there's kind of a mismatch, an inversion there that that I'm really particularly passionate about addressing. But more high level, my passion really is to make Redding, if there was a slogan or motto that I'm still tweaking,
Sure.
I want to make Redding a destination and not a drive-through. It's very unique to Redding because 80% of the population here in Redding actually lives and works in the same place. The national average is 40%. And so it's quite intriguing that a lot of people call this place home, but they also call this place the place of work. And so we have an excellent opportunity for input from community members, from citizens, from business communities that we can actually work together and not have as many, let's call it, outside non-citizen voices. We can all impact and work together on
Sure.
this, guys.
Very good, very good. And so you said you always wanted to get in politics. I'm going to backtrack.
Yep.
Your degree, I meant to ask you this. When you went to school, you said right out of school you got into finance. What was your degree in? Was government part of it?
And I went to NYU to study finance and marketing.
Okay.
And I'd always intended took some government courses just as electives along the way. But again, would anticipate going back to school when I'm 30, 40 because I was on the trajectory for government down the line. But that timeline got accelerated, and so no formal training from a degree standpoint, but I've taken classes along the way.
Well, that's okay because now I have, I'm trying to go off this old report notebook list.
You're good.
It's very old school of me. But now I'm going to put that aside because I have a question you just gave me here.
Yep.
You talked about how you wanted to get into politics.
Yep.
When your ducks were in a row, when you're in your 50s and your kids are probably grown up.
Yep.
Everything's settled, if you will. However, there's a very good argument that people can make, and a lot of people have made it in this community, that the voice should be given to the young people, the next generation, the people that grew up here, are married to someone who grew up here. Because oftentimes politics can get littered with people that are kind of cemented there. They've been there for too long.
Yeah.
It's something that people want to see turnover. They want to see new voices, fresh voices. So you are absolutely a fresh voice. And how important do you think it is for young people to get into politics?
I think, and I'm biased because I consider myself on the young people. I'm 35 on the young people spectrum. Yeah. You set me up for that one. Young. So So I could run for president. I'm 35, but I'm not planning on it.
Okay. After the city council.
Nope. I'm focused on Redding. I love Redding. Okay. This is home. No aspirations beyond that. But I think with youth comes a certain degree of enthusiasm, hustle, unwillingness to just receive and manage the status quo. And this is just a broad stroke remark. This is not saying that if you're not young, then therefore you are. No, it's not that. It's just saying that's my personal experience in encountering folks that are younger that have the energy to push through something. And partnering that and having the wisdom to know, hey, I want to pull on folks and getting mentors and pulling on folks that have the experience, partnering the enthusiasm with the wisdom. I think it's a very potent blend that will really benefit our city. And I think my biggest contribution to the council, because it's not unilateral decisions that we would make, is the heavy finance background that I do have, the comfort with working with massive spreadsheets. I'll tell you a funny story. Even just analyzing companies.
I love spreadsheet stories.
Spreadsheets, I know exactly. That's always a fun one to lead with, right? And so when I was in the spreadsheet, and digging into numbers, I would sit there for 6 hours and just forget about anything eating or just regular functions because I'm just in the moment and digging. And I think numbers can really tell stories and really make things come alive. And that's my perspective. And lending that strength to the council, if I'm to be elected, I think that would be really helpful. Our city right now it's an enviable position. We have budget surplus and coming out of COVID. And right now we're at the precipice of some incredible potential fulfillment that we can get to. And making wise tactical decisions to get to that place requires someone with a financial background to also say, hey, this is a wise investment, this is going to get the city a good return, or this is an unwise investment, this is not going to get the city a good return. Having that wherewithal, having that voice on the council, I think is incredibly important to our city. And I think that having a more formal training, I don't think that training is maybe applicable to folks that are born and raised here that didn't, have that background to begin with or from their families. I think I can really lend that strength and bring that in.
Terrific. And your competition, one guy we know of right now, is a young guy as well.
Yep.
The woman leaving council is young. Are you encouraged by that fact that there are this cycle of younger people that are now jumping at these positions?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's really cool that the younger folks are jumping in, and it's incredibly. Did I say encouraging already? It's actually encouraging because there's also diversity of thought when you have youth as well. It's not just diversity for diversity's sake, but there's actually a different perspective. Maybe there's a kind of a chemical composition within our brains. I know when I turned 25, that's when I became a more, let's call it, frontal lobe, fully developed, male at that point, where I'm maybe taking less risks. I mean, insurance companies, that's how they adjust for. Once you get married, once you turn 25, your insurance risk premium comes down because they understand that background. And so, anyway.
No, that's good. I appreciate that.
A 35-year-old will think very differently than a 55-year-old. You need the 55-year-old thought process. There's incredible wisdom, incredible weight and authority and experience. You hard to trade experience. But you pair that, again.
Trying to create a balance.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. And I want that council to work well.
Gotcha. There's been Bethel ties. You have ties to Bethel, as you already alluded to.
Yep.
Bethel can be, as someone that grew up in this area, somewhat of a polarizing church. And there are people that attend the church can be polarizing this community. I'm not saying I agree with that, of course. I want to put that on record. But that is the perception in this community. It's a mixed bag sometimes.
Yep.
So what do you say in regards to your connection to Bethel and your ties to the church?
Yeah, so my family and I, we are attenders. And as far as anything else beyond that at this current juncture, we've just attended. Don't mix with leadership. We don't have personal relationships with them. And so I just like going to Bethel, as I also shop at Trader Joe's.
Of course.
I like Sprouts too. Sometimes I'll dabble in both.
They're in the near area.
Yeah, exactly. Although I live in West Reddings just like you. Well, I don't know. Well, anyway.
Even not where I live.
Yeah, I was like, wait, we're on camera. Maybe not mention that, but
it's, okay.
It's out there.
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. We're doing it uncut. All stays.
I'm trying to get comfortable. And
all
too comfortable.
Yeah, no, totally. But I guess a bigger question to that.
Yep.
And you have to make known this with the city, your
Yep.
funding, and where your money comes from for your campaign.
Of course.
So tell me a little bit about that. It's early. It's March.
Yep.
Technically, you and Joshua have not actually signed like a campaign or your spacing on the word, but you can't actually formally announce with the city that you're running for city council till July.
Right.
That's when the process begins. You guys just made it known, right?
We do file with the state too.
Right. You have to file with the state, and then you have to announce your intention. But nothing's official. It's kind of complicated.
Yeah.
I did a story on it, but it's confusing.
Okay.
But nothing official until July. So right now, your job and why you did that is to build, momentum, and to build a reputation, get to know people in the community, fundraise the campaign.
Yep.
So fundraising, money helps, right? How would you describe your campaign? Where's the funding going to come from? Is it a grassroots campaign? Touch on that for me, please.
100% grassroots. Zero funding from Bethel. I don't even think Bethel can donate as an entity. It's just because they're a 501c3, so even just them putting their name can't do that.
Gotcha.
But even if they were, I wouldn't be asking them. But anyway.
And you're not taking donations or money?
I am taking donations, but it's not from Bethel Church.
Okay.
And like I said before, we're just attending. And granted, a lot of my friends, a good amount of our friends in the non-professional realm of what I do, they do attend Bethel, so they can personally donate. Mm-hmm. But I am not supported nor formally supported by Bethel Church. And I think I straddle a very interesting intersection because, yes, I do have the connection to Bethel, but I also have the history and the legacy of marrying into a Redding family that has been here since the 50s or the 40s, so has understand the transformation. They've, been around before Whiskeytown Lake was a lake. before the government came in and filled it in.
Yeah.
And hearing those stories, understanding, the culture and understanding it, like just the nuances of what it means to be a Redding resident and over the last several decades. And I think that I'm at a good convergence point to understand all of that and, being married into a Redding family.
Terrific, terrific.
Grassroots campaign.
Grassroots campaign.
100%
Sums
grassroots.
it up right there.
Grassroots, exactly.
Gotcha.
Professional contacts, store owners, business owners, and personal friends and family.
Perfect, perfect. So, we're sitting down today. That's, I believe, March 28th.
Yep.
So we're almost in April, but in this past couple of weeks, just yesterday in particular, there was a stabbing that happened,
Yep.
like a block away from where we currently, actually across the street.
That's right.
At Taco Bell.
That's right.
And we did a story today, or are doing a story today for the news, of like a string of things that have been happening. Just down the street here is Old Shasta Coffee.
Yep.
I love going there. It's a great little spot.
Yep.
Family-run business.
On Eureka.
On Eureka Way.
Yep.
They had their front window smashed in recently. A business owner, his business, they've been catching people on videos like trying to vandalize their property. All in this area.
Yep.
In this western part of Redding, downtown Redding.
Yep.
And so, downtown's evolving. It's growing at a rapid rate.
Yep.
But there's also
Headwinds.
Yeah, there's a good word for it. Absolutely. There's some things that are happening that are kind of not slowing the momentum, but kind of like taking away, how much good is happening in this area.
Yeah.
So, all that being said, Redding's biggest issue you think is what?
Redding's biggest issue, I think, is the economic prosperity and well-being of our town. And I think that we have been flatlined for a while. And I'll elaborate. And I think from there is the tip of the spear because public safety rolls into that. Arts and culture, amenities, quality of life, it all kind of rolls into that. I think that economic prosperity of our city is the tide that lifts all boats. So let me also answer your question more specifically regarding the story before about public safety. I think that through higher paying... No, let me back up again, actually.
So you got it, man.
I know. Let me compare actually Redding to Chico, often comparison.
Sure.
And I'll try to throw a bunch of numbers at you. But
I'll do my best.
And but yeah, anyway, let's think 3 age cohorts. This is based on 2020 census data: 18 to 25, 25 to 44, 44 plus. Okay, so kind of recent. You're just venturing out into the world. You're kind of family rearing years, and then let's say 44 plus. Those are your peak earning years. The first cohort, 18 to 25, we track Chico in terms of median income. I believe that figure is around the low 30s or mid 30s, $30,000 a year. Once you get to 25 to 44, you're raising a family, you're progressing in your careers. We're starting to hit probably $50,000, $60,000 a year median income here in Redding, and also in Chico, we track. But the real divergence takes place right after that. See, Redding, after the age 44 median income, flatlines, and we're all stuck at $50,000, $60,000 a year, whereas Chico, you see a pretty decent jump into the mid-70s. This is, again, median income. And I'm thinking, okay, well, besides geographic, we're 62 square miles. They're 30 square miles or so they have less territory to cover, but we're a similar population. We're 91,000. They're probably 100,000 or so.
When they're in school.
Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of similarities than contrasts. And what are they doing differently that we are not? And I think the biggest piece is, how do we narrow that gap in median income for the 44 plus? Because those are your peak earning years. Those are when you're in management positions. You have the best jobs. You are at the top of the totem pole at your company, or you're starting out your business in your late 20s, early 30s, and you're just really generating cash after 44. How do we do that? And the solution in my mind is really, how do we attract more higher paying jobs? And to get there, I think there are a bunch of other plans, ideas that I have, working with existing companies that are here in Redding and kind of working with them to double in size and also in profitability, but also attracting outside companies. But let me kind of progress here and say, with that base, that economic base, let's call it now tax base, because there are secondary, keep looking at the camera, I'm going to look at you, secondary and tertiary effects that come into play. Well, if there are 2,000 more jobs that are created, in the next 3 years, because of Stillwater, what do we need to do? We need to create more amenities. We need to have more support for restaurants. We need more hotels right at the airport, because there's a lot of business travelers coming in to Redding Airport, which is one of the biggest boons to our economy.
Absolutely.
They need some place to hang their hats at night, for all these. And so those spillover effects, especially with hotels and TOT tax, that actually starts putting more money into the general fund at City Hall, and that general fund money goes into public safety dollars. They can have more police officers, more patrols that are going on at the same time. And so it's the tide that lifts all boats. It also provides more dollars and more. I think there's a saying that we have at home: sleep begets more sleep. When we're talking about kids, if you let them sleep more, they'll sleep. If you let them get a good routine for sleep, they'll kind of sleep more. This is kind of what I would. So I think if you attract people, the anchor that will want to come to Redding, it'll attract more anchors, more activity to the city. So I think that is the catalyst for driving our city to providing more dollars to fund more police officers, more case managers, workers that we can use to actually fund and tackle crime, tackle and patrol the streets and prevent things like this happening, which is just truly unfortunate.
So to sum that down, whittle it down.
Yep.
The man
Please.
that likes numbers, the man that thinks in a logical, economic type of way, his biggest issue and the thing that he wants to solve most is the economy and the divide that we have in this community between our social classes.
Yeah. Just being able to boost up the economy. When timber and mining left, it really put a dent in our economy. There's not much else that can really be the anchor.
Sure.
And I want to reinvent our economy. And I mean, where else in the great state of California can you actually still buy land and build, and it still pencil out? Because right now, if you go anywhere else near a metropolitan area, it doesn't pencil out. Government is not friendly to, permitting or just development. And I want to kind of create our government, at least influence our current city government to be in a place that is development friendly, business friendly, that basically attracts talented people, that also gives existing citizens a better quality of life and more opportunities. Because that's the end of the day, we have an amazing, basically people that live here in Redding, that are born and raised here. There's this hustle, this drive, this energy that I don't really see anywhere else. And I want to be able to provide an opportunity and just put my stamp on being able to help out, let everyone basically make more of themselves, because it's been, build up the economy is the biggest takeaway.
Gotcha. I got two last questions for you, Alex. In contrast to Redding's biggest issue or biggest thing that needs to be solved, what is Redding's biggest positive in your mind? Right now, 2022, what is making you pumped about Redding?
Oh man, we have a lot of economic activity coming. Number one, airports. I mean, we have we have Las Vegas, we have Seattle, we have LA, we have Burbank, obviously we have SFO. I believe San Diego and Denver are coming online within the next year or so. And so that stimulates business economic activity, and it lends itself to more airport activity, more tourism, more business travelers. Really excited about that. I'm extremely excited about Stillwater. It's been, 20, 30 years since it sat vacant, but over the last 18 to 24 months, we've actually seen it really, as of this information may be stale as of a month or two ago.
Sure.
But I believe 14 out of 18 of the lots are now in escrow, and that's versus 24 months ago is 1 or 2, I think.
Yeah.
So huge jump. So that's going to bring 2,000 jobs over the next 3 years. Super excited about that. I am also very excited about the up and coming arts and culture community. And we're seeing a lot of public murals. Obviously,
downtown.
Yeah, Viva Downtown is doing a fantastic job of just attracting and being the leader, the pioneer, and saying, guys, we are an organization that wants to help this downtown community. So come, join us, be a part of us. And my wife, obviously, I think we'd mentioned before this interview, is part of the Cascade production of Matilda, and we're very active personally as a family in the arts community. And
I think we said it during the interview.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah, we touched on that. You should give me a shout out for the Matilda.
There we go. Go to Shout Out Matilda. If this comes out before the first weekend of April, then go buy tickets.
It will. Yeah,
okay.
So,
go buy tickets Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
There you go. Yeah, it's next weekend, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrific. And then your slogan. This is going to be my last question for you.
Yep.
Unlock Redding's potential.
Yep.
Well, you said you're tinkering with the slogan. I won't say that's your specific tagline.
Yep.
But it's something you've been saying.
Yep.
Unlock Redding's potential. I'm going to be blunt with you. As someone that grew up in this community and has heard those politicians, kind of cliche.
Yep.
It's a phrase that's been used. Better together, build together. Something about unity. I mean, not even just for Reading, but just in general politics. It's about let's find what's there. Let's turn every stone. It's words.
Yep.
How do you make those words actions? How do you actually unlock Reading's potential?
Well, I think in messaging, you can only deliver so much in 2 words or 3 words. It's the slogan itself is just enough to pique your interest, to have you look under the hood and say, okay, well, what are your plans? And so that's exactly, hopefully it's had its intent in causing you to look under the hood. Again, from New York, didn't know what I was missing. I love mountains. I love lakes. I learned to ski up at Mount Shasta 5 years ago, and I've just been addicted. Keep constantly going back. My family, water skiing on Whiskey Town, learned a boat in Whiskey Town and Shasta Lake. And I think what we offer geographically, and I love mountain biking, hitting all the West Side trails, that's the potential, the draw, the base, the foundation that's already there. I just want to partner that with the economic base so that we are actually a place that's not, that can realize its full potential. I think there's a lot of momentum that's happening over the last 10 years since the last economic recession of 08, 09 kind of hit, and it kind of hit our town hard. But coming out of that, I think that we are at a precipice of being able to jump into that next gear and make Reading ultimately a destination and not a drive-through. And, as a politician or an aspiring politician, in this case, running for city council, I do understand that that's a noble word. So people like you that are asking, well, what do you mean? Look under the hood. I appreciate that because it gives me an opportunity to share more, with you, with other folks. And this is my intent. This is how I want to work with other city council members, because at the end of the day, we need a 3-2 vote to pass something to benefit our city. And so working with that dynamic to essentially say, hey, this is my plan. I can't do it unilaterally. Fellow city council members, I need your help to make this happen. And working and collaborating with City Hall staff as well to push something through. So for me, I'm not words. I'm very careful and guarded in what I actually am saying. When I say unlocking Reading's potential, I see an immense amount of potential. I did not even know what I was missing, and realizing that potential was part of my journey in loving this city and loving this place. And I want my daughters, I have a 4-year-old and she's 5 months old now. My gosh. I want them to see the Reading that I'm seeing, but even beyond that, I have a vision for Reading. I want them to I want them to grow up in that. I want Reading to have an economic chance to be able to have kids come back, our kids or our grandkids come back home. Because, once you leave, I mean, I don't know what your story is, but I do know a lot of anecdotal stories where, their kids leave, go to study at the UC, and then they just don't come back because there are no jobs to be out here. That's a crying shame, Yeah. There's a demographic mismatch there too. If the population kind of tilts older, they'll miss their grandkids, And I think there needs to be a healthy balance of all different age brackets and age demographics. And yep. So that's a little more peek under the hood.
I appreciate it. Thank you for sitting down with me.
Of course.
Best of luck ahead.
Thank you very much.
July onward.
Yep.
It's when the fun's really going to start picking up.
Oh yeah.
And are you excited for what lies ahead? I didn't ask you that, but the challenge. It's a challenge. It's going to be a tough road.
I love challenges, and I know that we have a whole family saying if there's purpose to the pain. There will be pain. Having to knock on doors and when it's 110 degrees outside.
Yeah.
If there's a purpose to that, you actually want to change the city because you have a vision for it. I have a vision for it. Then it makes it more manageable.
Worth
and actually exactly.
Motivation.
And if there's a purpose, because I want to change the city for my 2 daughters, make it a better place and have it step into the next level. Reading 2.0 gives me purpose to the pain.
I love it. Also, quick aside.
Yeah.
I feel like they turned up the music since we started doing this interview.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you get when you try and sit down in a coffee house in the middle of the day and do an interview.
Yeah.
But that's Alex Shea running for city council here in Reading. Again, stay tuned. Follow the YouTube page. Link, subscribe, swipe up, all that stuff. And tune back for future Meet the Candidates that we'll be doing with me. Alex Shea, thank you very much, my friend.
Appreciate it.